Hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another Learning Live. It is steamy out there here in Ontario, so it is absolutely perfect crafting weather for me to be down in the basement in my craft room and joining you tonight to do a little bit of fun stuff. Excuse me, sorry about that. I've got my water. I've been having a little bit of a frog in my throat, but we'll get through the night. No worries. Hello, Ellen. If you are joining us live, please do jot a hello in the comments. I always love to see that people are joining me tonight, and please ask questions along the way, commentary, jokes, all of that good stuff. Makes it feel like we are just crafting with friends. I'm going to get rid of this little welcome message here so we clear that screen up a little bit. Tonight, we're going to do something that I have not done in a little while, and that is traditional 12 by 12 scrapbooking. Hello, Cindy. Thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting. 12 by 12 scrapbooking, but we are using art journaling products. And, you know, if you saw the title of tonight's live, I said, Art Journal, Think Again. Some of our European and international brands that we have been bringing in lately have some amazing art journaling pads and products and that kind of thing. But sometimes you look at it and think, okay, but do I have to use it for art journaling? Can I use it for something else? And this is the challenge that Darlene laid for me for tonight for Learning Live. Is we're going to use these products on 12 by 12 layouts. While I was waiting for 8 o'clock to come, I have done a one-page layout already. My plan for tonight is to do a two-page 12 by 12 layout, and depending on our time, we might get a second one pager done. It does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be complicated. I guess maybe we'll start with the question, what is art journaling? And that is kind of the $1 million question. Art journaling and junk journaling, that kind of idea has been heating up as a trend in the paper crafting world. And to some degree, it is creating just for the love of creating. It is using, collaging, stenciling, not necessarily as a memory keeping element, but we will show you, or I will show you tonight how to kind of work that in and use it as part of your traditional scrapbooking. Now, my layouts tonight are going to be quite clean and simple. I did not dig out stencils. I did not dig out pastes or any kind of thing like that, simply because I really want to focus on how to use the product that we're going to use. We're going to use some Mintay one Mintay Art Journaling pad, but by all means, you could add in those layers as well if that is something that appeals to you. I did dig out a few inks. Inks might come into play. I've got the new colors of 49 in market. I've got honeyed oak. I've got designer denim. And I've got sea glass. Those are 3 of her 7 new colors. And then I pulled out my old faithful, my favorite in Janine's whole color palette, and that is salted caramel. Don't lick it. It's not ice cream, but it is a delicious color. So now that we've got some people joining on, hello Wendy, hello Carol, Ellen, Cindy, everyone who is joining tonight. Thank you for joining me tonight. Ellen says no messy fingers. Well, with ink, I might still get a little bit inky, but I think for tonight we're mostly going to keep things clean. So let me just flip over to my desktop camera. There we go. These are the 4 Mintay pads that we have in the store. As I mentioned, these are technically called Art Journal Essentials. And when you flip through, there are some really gorgeous elements in these pads, but they are also good for fussy cutting. And I'm going to show you a couple of other things you can do with these as well. These pages are double-sided. There are, it says 24 double-sided sheets, 12 designs. So that to me says that there is 2 of each, but I thought in one of the ones I was using there was 3 of each. So maybe I just lucked out and that can't be right. Anyways, 12 double-sided, or 12 designs, 2 of each design, and just some gorgeous, like, look at that. Look at that. And to me, that would be something that you could loosely fussy cut and put into place on a 12 by 12 layout. This one is called Peachy Breeze. Of course, we have Darlene and Ellen and a few other of you who absolutely love your purples. This is Violet Whispers. And it does say down here, perfect for art journal, junk journal, albums, cards, and many more. The pad that I'm going to be using tonight, and of course I'm going to save that till the end, the images are quite large. If you were doing card making, you'd want to do it on a larger format card or do a heck of a lot of fussy cutting. But definitely could be used for cards, and there are different ways. And again, that might be project after the camera goes off. So you never know. You never know what I'm off camera here. There we go. This one is Ink Aura, so definitely gorgeous. Look at those wonderful images. This to me is a little bit more. I don't want to say Halloween because I would say inspired by Halloween with the oranges and the blacks, but no pumpkins. Anyway, so that one's gorgeous. And then this one here is the one that I'm going to be using tonight. It is called Calm and Cozy. Now, the Mintay papers, they're actually quite nice and thick. They are very similar to a 49 and market weight, which gives it a lot of oomph to kind of play with. But look at these beautiful soft colors and lots of different options that we can play with. So let's get crafting. Mostly this is just going to be kind of, I'm going to be creating on the fly, narrating as I go. But hopefully this inspires you to take another look at these art journal pads and look at them in different ways. And I mean, you know me. This is something that I often tell you is don't go by the label. Don't go by what something is designed for. If you've got something that you want to do and the paper works for you, then by all means, make it work for you. So because these are only 6 by 8 pads, very difficult to stretch a 6 by 8 piece of paper into a 12 by 12. I have married this up with 49 and Market. I've got a couple of pages from the Travel Diaries line. So for example, and you can see kind of where I was starting to play, this is a travel paper. If you look closely, there are little airplanes on it, but I really love that stripe and the blues worked really, really well. This one is from Glimmer and Glee, which is one of the newest Dennis collections. And again, I liked kind of the soft colors. The blue plaids really pulled the blues out of the prints on the paper. See, the brain is already going. So this is just a really nice simple single page layout. Again, if I was getting some of the messier stuff out, I might think about doing like maybe even just at a simplistic level. I could do some gold splatter. I might go in and find some more flowers in the pad that yes, this girl fussy cut. This piece here, underneath the photo, I don't know if you can tell, it's a little bit close up. This has books underneath. This was actually this piece of paper right here. So what I did is I just used it and covered up the vase with my photo, but it still gave it some depth and dimension there in terms of doing it as a photo mat. So that was just that first one. It does need a title. I might get a nice little die set out and do a nice little title there, but super simple, and using the pages from that art journaling pad. All right, let me show you what I plan to work with tonight in order to create our 2-page spread. Now, this one is that same paper that I just used on the previous layout, but I do really like the stars in the back. I'm not sure 100% if that one's going to be used. This is just white paper that I use to cut, faux photos. I brought this blue home, but it really feels a little bit too bright for what I want to do tonight, so likely won't use that one. This one here is called Melon Mist. It's got a nice peachy look to it, so it does go really nicely with some of these papers here. That might be for photo mats, not quite sure. And then I also have this one here called Putty Gray. Now these two papers are from a new brand to us, and because we didn't do our What's New last week, we haven't had a chance to really talk about it yet. Encore Papers. It is very similar to My Colors, which is no longer in business, but they have some really beautiful colors. And this Putty Gray, it's a really, really warm gray, went really nicely with this paper. So, got some solids here. This is another piece from the Glimmer and Glee with all those brightly colored icing dollops or meringues. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but they are very festive and celebratory. I'm not using that side. I'm using this wood grain panel side on the back, and again, I think I will do. I keep flipping back and forth. I think I'm going to do them horizontal as opposed to vertical. That to me works better. And then I also liked this paper. Again, this is from the travel diaries, and it's got all kinds of travel cut aparts on this side, but I really love the floral on this side. So that's where we're going to start with. And then I've pulled a selection of papers from that art journaling pad, and they're quite different. And you'll see kind of how I go about using that. So that is a floral. Let me just double check. So it's got florals on both sides, which I think is why, if I remember correctly, yeah, I pulled both of them out of the pad, either to fussy cut two of the same, or maybe I'll do a couple of different ones. I have pulled this one here that's got the beautiful cherry blossom trees and the bicycle. Not sure if the tree is gonna make the cut, but we'll see. Or maybe it'll even be the deer. I'm pretty sure in my head I want to use the bicycle, but you never know. This was one of my favorite pages in the pad. This beautiful window with the branches kind of coming down. Got a bird cage on the back. For what I'm doing tonight, though, the window definitely plays in. Here is this sweet little girl with the balloons again. One thing Darlene and I noticed is that this balloon doesn't actually have a string, but that's okay. We can play with that. And then there is the bowl on the other side, and then continuing kind of that book theme. Here is a beautiful little teacup. There's more of those white flowers, so that's where these guys are all going to come into play. But the teacup sitting in the book, and that was on the back of the cover sheet, as you can tell. Let me just remove that price tag just in case it gets in the way. So lots of different elements here, and I am going to try and show 2 or 3 different ways that you can use these on a traditional 12 by 12 layout. My friend Julia is in the house. Everyone say hi to Julia from the Paper and Ink Boutique. She's on vacation right now, so thank you for tuning in. I think I'm going to zoom my camera out just a little bit, wrong way. So now you get to see my messy desk, but I think I need it for the 12 by 12 space. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to start prepping. Take our advertising strips off. This is actually a really nice sentiment. The joy is in the journey, but the party is in the destination. Definitely two parts to our lives, the journey and the destination, and both are equally valuable. Whoops, not my scoring blade. I want my cutting blade. So you never know. This may come back into play. This is the advertising strip from the other page that I did. Happiness is good food, good friends, and a good reason to party. Here, here. Okay. This guy off. And while I'm at it, I'm going to cut the advertising strip off this guy as well. All right, let's see if I can get my two pages here side by side in a way that you can see both sides. And this is kind of what I how I planned and how I started this. My vision, if I had a sketch in my head, and I should have sketched it out for us, because this has nice long horizontal lines, I'm going to create my photos in that very same long horizontal motion across my page. So I have gone ahead and I've cut a series of 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 just pieces of white to mimic my photo. The challenge with 4 by 6, which is our standard photo size, is that if you put 3 side by side, you're going to fill up the whole thing. And I wanted to make sure I had room to, have the paper peeking through, show some different things. And so I've gone down to this smaller size, also allowing room for a photo mat. So just for fun, I am going to spread these out. They're not going to stay this way, likely. I tend to move things around, but this is my starting point. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for joining tonight. Okay, so if I was going to go with all 6 photos, I've got them kind of marching across the page here. And I know they're not going to stay this way, so I'm fine with them looking like little marching soldiers at this point. As I mentioned, my most favorite paper out of this whole pad was this beautiful window. And it's got lots of soft edges. The plaster here has been recreated. We've got the flowing brambly branches here. And I just love that window as kind of a peek into the layout, peek into the page. So I'm going to take this photo out of the equation and I'm going to put the window in its place. And it may not go right up into the corner. It's not going to be in the same line here as these other guys, but it's going to kind of replace that photo, and I can zhuzh this just a little bit. The next paper I really wanted to use was this teacup with the books. And in my mind, I am going to trim this down. It's going to be a little bit bigger than our photos, so it's going to go down to probably, when these are matted, my plan is that they're going to be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I may start with 4 by 6 and trim down a little bit further if I have to. But I'm going to take this photo out and replace it with this. And it doesn't look like much right now because it's way too big. But you can see how this is starting to come together. It's kind of taking a peek into someone's home. They're sitting having a cup of tea. And to me, it just felt very serene and relaxed. And we're starting to kind of build a story. Now, of course, if you had real photos, I don't have real photos, but if you had real photos, that would help to inform your story. But I really liked how this was all going to work. Now, I've got something in the right-hand side. I've got something kind of in the middle. I need something for down here in this bottom left-hand corner. And this is where initially I was thinking our little girl with the balloons might go. And you know what? If you really were careful in your fussy cutting, you could probably remove the balloons altogether, find another little flower that you could put in her hand, and have this go down here like so. And to me, this story was about, started becoming a visit to grandma's. Many of us in the community, not myself, but many of you in the community are grandmas, and this is kind of telling that version of the story. But the other option that I also liked was the bicycle. And probably not the trees, but the bicycle just fussy cut and nesting here. So we've ridden our house to grandma's for a cup of tea, and we're going to peek in the window to see if she's home. So for right now, for this moment in time, I think that's the story that I want to tell. And then I've left these, and I do actually also have these if we want to fussy cut out those flowers. So art journaling pads, of course, but a lot of what people do from these art journaling pads is the fussy cutting. And Darlene's laughing at me, I'm sure, because she knows that fussy cutting is not the thing that I love to do. I usually hand it over to her. Now I could do something like that and keep that cherry blossom tree. But I think net this is gonna get fussy cut. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna grab my scissors. Here they are, and I'm gonna fussy cut out that bicycle. I am gonna keep some of the grass underneath because fussy cutting is not necessarily my thing. I tend to be what I would call a loose fussy cutter. I keep a little margin around the outsides. I don't worry how close I get, or even if it's even across all of them. And I have learned from some of the best fussy cutters out there. The tip I'm going to share with you, if you don't practice this already, is don't try to turn your scissors. You're going to get all kinds of weird stuff happening with your wrist. Keep your scissors fairly stationary, other than, of course, the snipping motion, and turn your paper. So I'm going around that. See, I didn't even go down in this area. Carol says, I love watching your process as you plan out your page. Well, hopefully by listening to my running dialogue, you'll pick up some tips and some ideas along the way. I am one of those who tends to talk to themselves as they are crafting, kind of talking through. And, as we say, we always want to have an expert opinion. So why not ask ourselves? Sorry, little deer, I forgot about you. I could have flipped you over and done the deer. That would have looked really sweet as well, bringing in some of that blue. But I do really like that bicycle. All right. So again, one way you can use these pads, even on a traditional layout, is by fussy cutting. And it just is nesting there. It's bringing attention to our little photos, and looks really sweet. The second thing you can do is you can use it as part of your scene, but you may not want those sharp edges all the time. So I'm going to come over here to my window, And I am going to do, I'm going to call it fussy cutting, but it's not fussy and it's not cutting. I'm going to use that same concept of cutting out a portion of the photo, but I'm going to tear it. Let me just grab some water first. So sorry about that. By tearing it, it is going to give a softer, more flowing look, a little bit more organic. I still want it to sit in this corner up here. So the top and the right hand side, I'm going to keep sharp, for lack of a better term. But let's go in here, and I want the white to be over here. So I'm going to just start, I'm now flipping around. I'm starting at the bottom and just using my thumbs and my fingers kind of as the guide. I'm pulling towards me. And maybe I did too sharp of a corner because I remembered I wanted to keep some of this plaster that's on here. But just something like that. And I can even come up a little bit more on this side. And like I said, such a nice thick paper. It really feels lovely to play with. So I'm not going to get, oh look, there's some little white flowers on that side. I might be able to fussy cut those. I see Chris is watching and I think she will agree. Don't throw anything out, at least, well, she'll say don't throw anything out, period. I would say don't throw anything out until your page is done. I want to save these little guys, but I need it to be a soft edge too. So there's my finished tearing. Ellen says, I am the worst kind of fussy cutter. I leave a white border. It needs to be even all around. And if I had time, I would fussy cut the space between each spoke. Bless your heart, Ellen. You do you. That is not something that I would tackle. I think I want to do, it's going to be hard because it's the wrong hand. I want to get just rid of this corner here too. Okay, so this is now going to nest over here. Got my photos. So, quick recap. One way is to fussy cut with scissors. Another way is to tear it away. Let it have that rustic look to it. And now, like I said, I'm going to trim this down to a 4x6 size. But maybe before, sorry, I'm just thinking through. I want these to be matted with that putty. So I'm going to take, let's just tuck this aside for a second. I'm going to cut 4 mats that are this 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And then the reason why I'm doing that first is I can kind of use that as a template to help me cut this page as well. So let's get that putty out. The putty colored cardstock. And I want 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. 5 3/4. And then 3 3/4 as many times. Oh, that's got a little wrinkle in it. So let's flip it to the other side. 1, 2. Yes, Chris says period. She would not throw anything out, period. I do throw things out sometimes. Sorry, Chris. So I've got 3. I need 1 more. So I'm gonna, because I want to try and keep a big chunk. So this time I'm gonna go 3 3/4 this way by 5 3/4. And you know what? It is just paper. So if you make a boo-boo, you could always grab another piece or do an accent color. However, I only brought 1 sheet of this putty color home, so I'm trying to be a little bit frugal. So how does that look overall? That looks pretty sharp. Okay. So back over here, back over here. Let's just lay these into place. One, two, three, and four. That just gives us a little bit of contrast. But I do want to take one of these and let's just kind of play. I don't want any flowers if I can help it. I want lots of the books. I'm okay if the teacup is a little bit off to the side. This is where my pencil and my ruler are going to come into play. Please forgive if my head gets on the camera. I'm not going to draw a pencil line on this side because I may fudge it around to try and save those books. Okay, so I've just done two sides. That'll help me at least trim this into place. And now I'm going to eyeball. And there are a few little flowers, so not throwing them away yet. I promise, Chris, I'm not throwing them away yet. Let's get this side here. That's really cool. All right, if I want to go 5 3/4, if I want to keep the books, this one's not going to have a mat. Now, what's going to happen is by doing it here, sorry, I'm just thinking, and I'm not sure that I like that window pane crossbar right at that mark. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. So 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm just trimming just a little smidgen off this. Get rid of all my little scrappy scraps. And that is going to live right here. So now that kind of focal point is the same size as our mats. I've got a little wiggle room. So if I cut a 4 by 6 to give that a little bit of a focal point, yeah, I should have enough. Let's see if it'll work. Again, it's just paper. And I might even offset it. It does look different than the photos, so I'm going to make it look different on purpose. I kind of like how that's coming together. And maybe now let's offset this side to bring it down. All right, so as I look at my page, I like how there is now a nice flow. We've gone from our marching photos across the page. Jenna says, what if you turn it sideways instead of up and down? Do you mean the book? You could do that. I would have tried to plan that before I cut everything, and I think because that was on the cover, let's see, do I have a second one? Yeah, because it was on the cover. Oh, look at, I didn't see that one. That's the back cover. I don't have another one, but no, the picture mats. So you mean these ones? Yep, you definitely could. We could do it that way to give it a different look. I think personally, because my window is vertical and this is vertical, and I mean in reality this is a little bit more square, I personally prefer to keep them all vertical, but you could do that as well. And then that gives you a little bit more space here. That's also an interesting. Sheila says, you mean with the stripes going up and down. So this one you mean. Yes, 100% you could turn them that way. Personally, I like the way that this draws your eye across the page as opposed to this way being very stop, stop, stop. There's almost like speed bumps as your eyes are going across the page. But of course, anything is possible when it's your layout. All right. So I'm going to go back to plan A. I've got my little teacup a little higher, my two photos over here kind of across the center. I've got my bicycle down here, and then I've got this going here. Now, when it comes to scrapbooking, I tend to be, and you've probably heard me say this before, what you see on the left, you do on the right, and vice versa. So I've got this window piece here that has some tearing out of it. I've got this bicycle that has fussy cutting and a little bit sharper edges. So how do I bring these two together? Well, I think what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to go into this page here, and I'm going to cut, I think I'm going to start with a let's start with a 6x6. You can always cut it off. We could always trim it down, but I'm going to cut this into a 6x6 piece. So there's one. And two. And just like this one has torn edges, I'm going to keep my bottom and my left sharp so that it'll nest in the corner, but I am going to tear across this side, this top side, and then down the right side. And that just gives us kind of that torn look. To me, it's still a little bit square. So let me take a little bit more off here. That looks kind of cool. This, oh, bicycle went for a fly. So this is going to nest there. Let's do this and this. Maybe even like that. And then the bicycle sits on here, so now it pops up a little bit more. And then over here, I need something with some sharp edges like the fussy cutting. We've got some flowers in here. We had some flowers in here. Where are my flower pages? Pop here. Let me bring this center. I'm going to stick a bunch of stuff down because I need to ask you guys' opinion. So I want to add some flowers over here. Do I do some poppies? I'm going to call these the magnolias. I don't know if that's the right name of that flower, but I'm going to pretend that it is. Or do I do the smaller flowers from the bowl? So let me know in the comments, poppies, magnolias, or bowl. That'll be for the bowl flowers. While we're waiting on that, let's get some of this cut down. I'm going to do some quick inking on this blue piece with that new designer denim. I got really lazy. I didn't even dig out foam tools. I just dug out some pieces of foam, some pieces of sponge. Really old school tonight. Jennifer saying magnolia. Ellen said bowl. Janice says magnolia. Okay. So I'm just dragging some ink on here. I could have done direct to paper with the ink pad, but I didn't want it to be quite so scratchy. I wanted this to have a level of softness to it. So that just pumps that up a little bit. Oh my goodness, guys, it's 8:45. Where did the time go? All right, so this is gonna nest. And where's my little handy dandy tools? So using Charlie's tools tonight, I think I'll do 1/2 inch here. I don't have a big enough MISTI to put this in the MISTI, but I think I can be careful. Close enough. There we go. I deliberately left that open because I know I've got stuff to tuck underneath. Oh, hang on. This one is 1/4 inch. I'm too used to being team eyeball. There we go. Jennifer says this is making her want to scrapbook again and seeing the process. Jennifer, it's funny you say that. You are reading my mind because I just had that same thought as well, that I miss scrapbooking. We just came back from our London vacation and I wasn't planning on doing a 12 by 12 album for that trip, but hey, maybe I'll change my mind. And you know what? As much as I am doing this as 12 by 12 layouts, all of these same things that I am talking about tonight, do to the left as you do to the right, having sharp edges and soft edges and cutting things down from their original size. Oop, that slid quite a bit. You could do this on a small format album. You could do this just for creating, or some of this stuff can work on cards too. So don't feel like that these are only tips for scrapbooking. So I'm actually not going to stick that down because now I'm worried. Now I'm worried that things aren't going to fit because I put this one too close to the side. Okay, let me do this one first. This one, because it was a larger size, that was the size there. I need to go to the 1/8 of an inch guide. And even though I've got this stuck on down, I could have gone in and inked the photo mats as well, but I forgot. There There we go. It's always funny to me how you start with a plan and then you don't end with the same plan. And now let's see, where is this guy gonna land? I'm just gonna overlap. Actually, that can overlap both of them ever so slightly. And no, let's keep them straight. I was gonna do Sheri's jaunty angle, but no. All right, so there's page. Left-hand page. Oh, I gotta put my bicycle. Just gonna put him there for right now. We'll come back and pop him up. Thank you, ladies, for your kind words. Matt, I guess Matt's watching as well. He says we don't have room for a 12 by 12 layout or 12 by 12 album. Where there's a will, there's a way, my friend. Where there is a will, there is a way. Let's get these guys into place. Nest that guy in there. And same here. So I think in general the consensus was magnolias. Over here on this side, that was going to be fussy cut. I do also feel a little bit of need to have something of this blue floral as well. So but that's going there. Where's my other... feel like that gives us a little bit of extra. So I'm going to tear here. I'm going to tear up this side. And I'm going to tear along this bottom edge. So that this that did, oh, maybe down there is better. There. Okay, so we're just gonna go, whoops, too fast on the tape runner. Let's go like that. This one, let's still do the blue. So that we're consistent. All right, this is gonna go in this corner, and this one I used, was it the 1/2 inch? Yeah, it was the 1/2 inch. So tuck that into place. Hopefully I've got it straight. It's hard to, oh. So here's what you do. Here's what you do if you are too far away from yourself. Go upside down. Thanks, Diane. Yes, I do like how that inking just gives it, it's about dimension, and how you gain dimension is by creating contrast. So we've got lighter colors here, so by putting the darker edge, it's creating contrast, and then versus the background, it's creating contrast. So everything is going to stand out. It works well together, but it does still stand out. So then I can do, I think I did it, keep losing my bicycle. So if I go to find it, folks, it is on my computer. If I can't find it, it's on my computer. All right, so this one can come down. Like so. This one, again, just to mimic that overlap look, I'm going to do the same thing over here. What you do to the left, do to the right. Okay, and magnolias. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this little section, leave those for possibly extra layers. And I'll be honest, part of me had thought, oh, I should probably have these all fussy cut ahead of time tonight. But sometimes the process takes you in different directions, and I didn't want to over prepare. Sneak in around that leaf, down this petal, around that leaf. Alan, I'm sorry if I'm giving you anxiety by not having an even border. Through that little gap. And around this last flower here. So many times, and I know I am guilty of this in a major way, you can really overthink things. So by just doing that fast and loose fussy cut, it allows me, guys, that looks stunning. That looks stunning. Makes me now want to make sure I have a magnolia over here too. So what about this guy? All right, get around this guy. All right, so I could put him here beside the bike. That looks a little bit odd because our perspectives are not the same, but I could tuck him in here. I feel like I want him more this way though, so I'm going to actually take this leaf off. Can kind of tuck in there. And I think I had one more, right? When in doubt, deconstruct. Paper is very forgiving. We can make it fit. So, you know, as much as I joked off the top of this video, which was a little while ago, that we could not stretch a 6x8 piece of paper into a 12x12 layout. Well, I think I could argue that we have done just that. We have pulled things apart. We have taken things in different directions. There. I think I like that better. What do you guys think? Magnolia, magnolia, magnolia. We've got our window. We've got a torn edge. We've got a torn edge. We've got fussy cutting. We've got fussy cutting. We've got our beautiful little teacup there in place of a photo. And I mean, I can see journaling or even just a quote, something really subtle nesting in here. So let me just finish this off. I'm going to take the bicycle. I actually wonder, don't feel like it has enough contrast over there. So maybe I'll just do it here. My foam tape. So as I'm doing my final assembly, as we are wrapping up here, hopefully I have successfully demonstrated that something made for art journaling can also be used for your traditional scrapbooking. I have all these extras now, so maybe this weekend I will try to play to make some cards and show you that as well. But don't look at labels. You can create, you can use whatever supplies you want to make whatever pretty things you want. There we go. Let's tack this down. Underneath our photo there. And I mean, if that little taily one bothers you, we can make it a little bit more vertical that way. There we go. I could have popped that up with foam, but I liked keeping that flat. Let's do this guy. Tuck him under. And then this last one, because it's right at the edge, I don't want to pop it up because it'll get caught every time we go to put it in our books. But that can now just... One other thing I really like to do, and to me it helps with continuity, is break boundaries. So with my bicycle, I didn't put it completely on this blue piece. I have it overlapping and breaking that boundary. Same with this, it's breaking the boundaries. Over here, we've got the magnolia overlapping this photo, breaking that boundary. This is breaking the boundary. To me, it does very much help with flow and keeping things soft. Definitely the opposite would be true if you wanted sharp edges, like maybe you're doing video game layout or motocross or something where you want something very hard and aggressive and edgy, then definitely keep your edges straight. But for this particular layout, I definitely wanted to keep it flowing and soft and organic. So there you go. Thank you, ladies, for all your kind words. Personally, I'm feeling like this still needs maybe a little something extra. So I'm going to continue to look at my pieces here, see what else I could add in. Maybe I just need that title and that journaling. Maybe I need some gems to give it some sparkle, or again, get out with my gold splatter. That might be something. But these are just different ways that you can use really any pattern paper, but tonight specifically showing these art journal pads from Mintay, and hopefully encouraging you that you don't have to be afraid of large images. You just deconstruct them and make them fit. So, who's ready to scrapbook? Who's ready to go and make something using one of these art pads? If you do, or again, doesn't even have to be this pads, maybe deconstruct, say, a graphic 45 12 by 12 paper and make it fit onto your layout. If you do create, then make sure you post in our Paper Crafts Inner Circle. Our Alphabet Soup Challenge is running, and one of the letters this month is M, so you could do M for Mintay, or L from, no, I think L was last month, but if you haven't done June yet, L could be for Learning Live. Anyways, have a wonderful evening, everyone. Stay cool, get crafty, and we will see you soon. Take care, everyone.